in a drama, sci-fi, thriller film called Primer. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. It all starts with a voice recorder narration by a man coming from the future.
What? I like story recap. This is good.
Meticulous, methodical, educated yet ambiguous friends who accidentally discover a scientific breakthrough that is still unknown, or perhaps not yet revealed to man. It begins with an argument among four science engineers who are planning on a side project for an attempt to create a device to counter the effects of gravity. The plan is complicated. All of them work day jobs. They work 50 hours a week with an average salary grade they can depend on. They argue on how much time each should devote, not to mention the funds to proceed with the plan. As the tension grows, they are less likely to come up with a solution. After spending considerable time squabbling, only Abe and Aaron are left determined to take the challenge. Abe, with a cautious and controlling personality, and Aaron, a meddlesome and impulsive kind of guy, begin to plan out their countermeasurements in dealing with the adversities. Despite difficulties, they begin their research and experiment in Aaron's garage. After identifying the necessary components for the project, due to financial inadequacy, they chop off parts from existing appliances and take anything that is needed from their surroundings, thus creating a legitimate particle accelerator device, a device that uses electromagnetic fields to propel charged particles at very high speeds and energies, smashing the charged particles into its subatomic state. The only thing left now is to acquire a palladium element. It is necessary for their main approach to discard the coolant bath for the superconductors, because the palladium element can withstand heat up to 2830 degrees Fahrenheit without altering its chemical property and form. Due to this reason, they take the catalytic converter from Abe's car, which contains a small amount of palladium necessary for their invention. Then, they take it to a machine shop to fabricate a palladium steel sheet covering. After several weeks of meticulously placing all the parts together, they successfully create the prototype and are finally ready to put the particle accelerator to the test. During the test, they place a nesting egg doll inside the machine, set up the necessary scale, load 0.5 liters of argon to the intake, and switch the device on. At first, the machine seems stable. However, as they increase the electromagnetic field's power, the machine judders irregularly and short circuits. They realize that they blew the batteries. After a failed attempt, they decide to call it a day. The next day, Abe wakes up in a particularly odd manner, seemingly confused about the present time. Aaron calls to meet up with him. Still disoriented, Abe answers his call. After a few seconds, Aaron picks him up to bring him back to his garage for a surprise. Inside the garage, Aaron tells Abe that he finally figured out how to stabilize the machine. Aaron installs a regulator to control the intensity of the electromagnetic field as he shows Abe how to operate the machine by gradually feeding power until it reaches its maximum amplitude. As Abe shows his astonishment, Aaron further explains that by the time the machine reaches its equilibrium, it creates enough source of energy to sustain its power on its own just as he pulls out all the batteries. The discovery leads to another scientific dilemma. They discuss each of their hypotheses. After several hours of discourse, both seem unable to agree on a certain conclusion. However, what they both agree on is to keep it to themselves first until further evidence is gathered. In one event, Thomas Granger, father of Abe's girlfriend, shows up as their last best hope of funding. Abe takes the task of quantifying and explaining the device to Granger. As weeks become months, their enthusiasm becomes a slower realization that they are deep in debts. Then one significant and fateful encounter. Abe
apparently this is how... Note that this chart helps follow the confusing timeline. This is... What the fuck? What?
Approaches Aaron, who is sitting on a bench at the park, taking notes in his notebook. Aaron is suspiciously wearing an unobtrusive earpiece. He asks Abe about his whereabouts because he wasn't able to reach him all morning.
That's literally
Abe strangely answers that he isn't around. Aaron doesn't seem to mind his suspicious response. Then Abe suddenly gets emotional and starts to talk about their long relationship as a friend.
Okay, that is literally
suspicious. He then presented a proposition to Aaron, telling him to follow everything exactly as he says all throughout the day. Then in return, he will show him the most important thing that any living organism has ever witnessed. Abe shows Aaron the nesting egg doll, enveloped with protein buildup secreted by an Aspergillus ticor fungus, that he made several experiments with the device. Then he brings Aaron to a biologist to explain how they speed up the buildup processes of proteins in laboratories. The biologist illustrates how they use a centrifuge to spin the fungus around for a couple of thousand rotations in a day, as the biologist explains that it takes about a month to finally see a small buildup. Then Abe further explains that the nesting doll that has accumulated the amount of—
Okay, yeah, this one, okay, I agree, this one's kind of weird. Okay, give me another one. Give me a good juicer. Guys, it's too complicated, it's a lot of explanation. I feel explanation movies aren't too crazy. They're just not crazy. They're just not. In my opinion, the best ones are the ones that are half interesting because of the plot and half the imagery. This is just explanations. Don't care. I'm not watching movies like Interstellar. It's too big of a movie. I'm going to ruin it for a lot of people since it's a really good movie. Oh, what is this? Is this a new one? What? Give me a good one.
Welcome back to Movie Recaps. Today I will show you a horror film from 2010, titled Devil. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. A man can be seen cleaning the inside of a building when suddenly a body falls on the truck outside. Two men are talking at a dinner. They have a conversation about alcoholism and the importance of forgiveness for people like the one in the suit who are recovering alcoholics. The same one says that forgiveness isn't easy after what happened to his family 5 years ago and wishes they could talk about normal stuff instead.
There you go.
Later, the same man is revealed to be a detective as he crosses a police line. Another cop takes him to a crime scene and shows him the dented truck with the dead body on top. He checks the out body and looks up at the buildings surrounding the truck. The other detective can't believe a jump with such a force can happen from buildings that small. The first detective notices that there is no glass on the pavement surrounding the truck and thinks that it rolled out to the place where it was found. The two detectives walk around a corner to find a building that would better match their crime scene. Next to a modern-looking skyscraper, the characters are introduced one by one. First is the man in the hoodie lingering, then the man with a red tie, passing by him and walking inside the building.
Oh, I actually like that.
Next is the security guard, picking up the phone at the reception desk, and the old lady seen standing in the middle of the lobby, confused. Then, there is the young woman entering the lobby, passing the security guard at the reception, getting stopped by him and going to the back of the line to sign the visitor's log.
That's cool.
The security guard tells the other man at the reception area that he has to take a package to the 39th floor and goes toward the elevators. The guy with the red tie and the old lady want to go inside an elevator, but because it's full, they take the other one that just arrived empty behind them. They walk in and the security guy walks in with them too. As the door starts closing, someone calls out to wait and the young woman from before walks in too. After her, another person yells, grabs the doors after no one helps him and walks inside. It's the same guy with a hoodie. Once they're all inside, the elevator starts moving, but very suddenly, stops and jams. Meanwhile, an older security guard is watching a hockey game in the main security room. A younger security guard walks in the room and they chat about the game. He notices that one of the elevators is in inspection mode, so the older security guard calls the building engineer about the problem, while the engineer is trying to fix a broken window high up in the building. The guard tells the engineer to check on the elevator first, because there are people stuck inside. Back in the elevator, the security guard is getting anxious. The old lady keeps pressing him about emergency procedures, but he doesn't know because he's a temp. The guy in the red tie hits the emergency button and joins the old lady's questioning, by asking why he doesn't have a walkie-talkie. A voice comes on from the comm system in the elevator, telling them that he knows they're stuck and that there is an engineer on the way to see what's wrong.
Why does nobody have a fucking phone?
The older security guard is the one talking to them over comm and asks them to say something in the camera, which makes him figure out that there is something wrong with the microphone and he can't hear them. The security guard on the elevator tries calling the lobby from his cell phone, but gets no signal, so the young woman gives him her phone. The call is short and loses signal fast. Music starts playing in the elevator and the guy in the red tie starts singing, annoying everyone inside. The building engineer is on his way to the machine room at the top, where the wind sweeps off his hat and he almost falls off the side.
Okay.
Back down at the foot of the building, the two detectives are approaching and talking. The detective from the diner finds glass on the pavement and they see a man nearby sweeping more glass. He tells the man to stop doing that and declares the place a crime scene. A huge chunk of glass falling from the building, almost killing his partner, confirms his suspicion. Back inside the building, the engineer is seen checking the elevator from the shaft. He calls the main security room to tell them that it looks fine, but that he will reset it. Back at the elevator, the older security guard tells the group over comm that the light will be out for about 20 seconds. The lights go out, and when they come back on, the old lady screams at the security guard to get away from her, to which he apologizes, telling everyone that he's very claustrophobic. The third man pushes a panel from the top of the elevator and air starts coming inside. The security guard asks if they should try climbing up, but the other man says that it's dangerous going up the cable. Back at the machine room, the engineer asks the main security if the reset worked, and when they answer that it didn't, he says he'll go check out the problem from the basement. The two guards in the main security office talk about the broken window in the building and how someone might have jumped Troffit that morning. The younger one is very concerned to hear that. Back on the elevator, the man in the red tie gives the old lady his business card. The group starts having a conversation prompted by a comment he makes about the old lady. He tells them that he knows how to tell if someone is rich or not, and compares the old lady to the young woman, saying that the younger one's clothes look expensive. She turns her back at him, but quickly reacts, saying that he grabbed her behind. As the lights in the elevator start flickering, the older guard in the main office calls the engineer, asking if he is doing that.
Don't be weird.
The engineer says that he's just looking at the elevators from below and that it looks fine from there too. He pulls a lever on the side of the elevator and asks if that helped. The older security guard informs the engineer that there had been no change, so he says he will go back on the roof and reset it manually.
Literally the most useless fucking mechanician ever.
They're watching it happen from the main office, when the younger guard sees something strange on the screen that scares him. The engineer hears a strange noise and follows it under the elevators. Chasing after it, he almost gets crushed by an elevator dropping down the shafts. The lights in the elevator flicker again and then go out completely. Strange noises are heard in the elevator, as the lights go on and off. When the light comes back on for the third time, the young woman is lying on the ground. The guards in the main office ask what's going on, when the younger one notices that the young woman's back is hurt. The people inside are panicking. Red tie man notices that he has blood on him and tries to hide it from the others. The young woman says that it felt like something bit her, so the third man asks if anyone has anything sharp that might have hurt her. The security guard in the elevator then sees the blood on the man with the red tie. As he tries to explain that she just fell on him, the security guy goes to frisk him for a weapon. The guards watching for the security room decide that they need to call the police, since there has now been an assault inside the elevator. Outside of the building, the cop from the diner is talking to forensics, when the call about the elevator comes in. He sees that the call is about the building with the broken window and takes the case, bringing along his partner. Back at the main office, the younger guard finds the footage from the moment he saw something strange on the screen and shows it to the older one, who dismisses it as just grain. The younger one grabs his cross, certain he'd seen something evil, but the older one tries to calm him down. Inside of the elevator, the security guard and the third man try to pry open the doors. Even if they could, they don't know if there's an opening in the shaft they could climb to. The old lady is afraid that the elevator is just dangling and might drop down. The man in the red tie tries to help with the doors, but is sent to the back of the elevator away from the others so to keep an eye on him, still thinking that he hurt the young woman. In the meantime, the two detectives arrive at the main security office, where the older guard shows them the security camera and explains the assault. He tells them that the others in the elevator think the man in the red tie was to blame. After the detective assesses the situation, he tells the security guards that they should ask for a repairman from the elevator company and tells his partner to call the fire department. He then asks about the people inside, particularly interested about the security guard. After finding out that he's a temp, he tells the guards in the main office to pull up his files. The younger guard tells him about what he saw in the footage, but the older guard brushes it off again. The detective dismisses it too and tells the people in the elevator to show their IDs to the camera, so he can see who they are. Unfortunately, the writing on the IDs is illegible, so the detectives and the older security guard go to the lobby to check the visitor's log and find out that way. Back at the main security office, the younger guard is keeping track on the security camera from the elevator, when the lights inside flicker again. Inside of the elevator, the young woman suddenly sees all of the people disappear and reappear as bloody dead bodies on the floor. A second later, it's as if that never happened and everyone is in their place. The lights go out completely again. The mirror in the elevator shatters and strange noises are heard in the dark again. When the light comes back on, the man with the red tie is revealed to be stabbed in the neck with a piece of glass from the mirror. Meanwhile, the younger guard calls the two detectives back. They see that the man is dead, so the detective calls for backup. When he starts reviewing the footage, the younger guard starts telling everyone a story. He says that situations like these always start with a suicide and people getting hurt when the devil is near. Sometimes he takes human form and torments people. The last thing he says is that one of those people in the elevator might be the devil. The detectives, uninterested in what the guard is saying, continue reviewing the footage and suspect the security guard in the elevator might be involved in the murder. The partner says that his files show him to be a violent criminal. The group inside the elevator is also talking about who the murderer might be. The fire department arrives at the building. In the main security office, the detective tells the people inside the elevator that the place is a crime scene now. The detective doubts that what happened was an accident, but says the people don't look like killers. He gets an idea and asks one of them to volunteer. He then tells the man to take out a piece of paper from the dead man's pocket. The man raises up a letter to the camera, which the people in the office decipher and realize the dead man was going to see someone in the building. The detectives go to meet with the fire department first, and after the detective from the diner goes to the level of the building with the broken window. Forensics tell him that the suicide note the jumper left is very strange, with the words "I can hear the devil's footsteps draw near" written last. Outside of the elevator, the firemen try to pry its doors open, but they won't budge. Inside, one of the men is trying to get out off the top of the elevator, but the security guard pulls him back down, thinking he's trying to escape. The detective is talking to the person from the building that was supposed to meet with the dead man from the elevator. He finds out that he was a scam artist and asks the person for a list of the people he has scammed. Back at the elevator, the people start frisking one another. Meanwhile, at the main security office, the detective is back and tells his partner that one of the people probably didn't sign in. If they were out to kill the man with the red tie, they wouldn't be stupid enough to do that. He gives him the other list and tells him to compare the two. Then he goes over to the security guards, and the young guard shows him the face from the footage, but in turn the detective shows him the apology note that was left by the person that killed his wife and child in a car crash. He says that people can be evil without the help of the devil. While they're talking, the old guard is reviewing the footage, when he finds the moment when the young woman thinks someone grabs her. The footage doesn't show anyone doing it. The detective thinks she's lying and becomes suspicious of her too. They see the people in the elevator frisking each other and tell them to stop. Inside the elevator, an argument starts up again, and the old lady threatens to pepper spray the security guard. He grabs the spray from her hands. In the main security office, the older guard is calling the engineer, telling him to stop disappearing. The engineer is climbing down the elevator cable and can't get his walkie-talkie to answer. He slips down the cable and a chain from his protective gear tears open. Inside the elevator, the security guard is taunting the old lady with the expired pepper spray, when something heavy drops on top of the elevator. They can hear the old guard's voice from the top. In a moment, blood starts coming in from the top panel. They can still hear the walkie-talkie and figure out that it's the engineer that fell. They can't break off the panel to help. The detective goes to the roof to check on the shaft and sees the engineer on top of the elevator, probably dead. Tells everyone that the people inside of the elevator can hear the walkie-talkie and that they should switch channels. He orders the fire department to get inside the elevator trough the wall. The firemen start digging trough the wall. Looking trough the footage in the main office, they see that the old lady was stealing wallets. The detective comments that all of them were bad people. As he's looking at the screen, the footage from the security cam glitches again and shows all of the people inside dead, but only the cop can see that. Next, they find footage with the third man and see that he had a satchel with him when he walked in the lobby, but no satchel in the elevator. The lights in the elevator start flickering again, then go out. The security guard lights a match and there's something strange next to it. When the lights come back on, the old lady is strung up on one side of the elevator, dead. The detective sees that on screen and calls for a lockdown of the building, with everyone inside going to the lobby. The older guard goes to the basement. The detective and the younger guard are the only ones in the office, so the younger guard says there is a reason that they are the devil's audience. Inside the elevator, the two men take the old lady's body down. Meanwhile, the detectives look for the satchel and find it in a restroom near the lobby. The satchel has tools inside that the detectives suspect might be used to rig an elevator. Back in the main office, the younger guard is left alone, so he starts reciting prayers over the comm. The people in the elevator don't like what he's doing. They talk a little, but quickly a fight between the two men ensues. The young woman is calling for the security guard to kill the other man. Back in the main office, while the guard is still praying, the detectives walk in and see what's happening in the elevator. They order the people to back away and put their hands on the walls. As the people in the elevator settle down, the cop asks the younger guard how his story ends. He tells him that they all die. His partner then tells him that the young woman has a record too, that she was married to a rich man and that she was in the building to see a lawyer. The two of them run in the lobby and find the lawyer. The only information he can reveal is that they should look into the people closest to her and that his specialty is forensic accounting. The detective asks to get the woman's husband on the phone. Meanwhile, the old security guard is in the basement and turns off the water. He informs the firemen and they continue breaking through the wall. While still in the basement, he finds a wire that is dipped in water and tries to get it out. Moments later in the lobby, the people that are gathered start screaming as he falls over. The detectives run to his aid, but he dies. Back inside the elevator, the 3 people remaining start arguing again. The 2 detectives come back at the office, saying that the younger woman's husband might have arranged all of it, since he owns the security company that works in the building. The cops think that the security guard inside the elevator is responsible and that the other 2 victims were just a decoy. Back in the elevator, the lights go out again. The detective tells them to use their phone screens as flashlights, but their phones get ripped out of their hands. The lights go out and the next time they come back on, the security guard is dead. The 2 people left grab a piece of glass in a panic and stand prepared to defend themselves. Desperate, the detective asks the younger guard how he can help them. He tells him that they should take responsibility for who they are. So, the detective shares a personal story with them about that and asks them to put the glass down. They do it, reluctantly. Suddenly, the lights go out again and they come back on. The young woman is lying on the ground with a piece of glass in her throat. As the man is seen trying to help her, the body of the old lady rises behind him, saying that it's his turn now. The man has a flashback of himself driving a car. He's reaching for a beer, when he crashes into another car. He gets out of his car and sees the other one in a ditch. A woman lies pinned by a car and before she dies she points to her child lying in the grass in front of the car. The man can't believe what he has done and leaves the scene, leaving a note on the window of the other car. Back in the elevator, he keeps repeating that he's sorry and begs the old lady, the devil, to take him instead of the young woman. The devil refuses the bargain and hurls the elevator down the shaft. When it stops, the man finds the engineer's radio and starts talking. He tells the detective what he's done. The detective and the young guard are listening to him and realize what that means. Inside the elevator, the young woman finally dies in his arms and the devil is angry, saying that she really wanted him. The lights go out and come back on again as the firemen are opening the doors of the elevator. The man is the only one left alive, speared by the devil. The old lady had disappeared. Later, paramedics are taking out the bodies and the detective sees the man sitting in the lobby. He says he will take him in the station. Next, the 2 of them are seen in a car. The man is in the back seat. The detective tells him that it was his family that he killed that day, but that after all of this time he forgives him. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.
What the fuck? That was okay, I guess. Okay, one last, I gotta eat my food. This food is busting.
Story recapped here.
Sir? Sir?
Today, I'm going to explain a drama, horror, mystery, and
This sounds fun.
science fiction film called The Room. Spoilers ahead.
The Room.
Watch out and take care. A young couple, Matt and Kate, move into their new home in upstate New York. Both of them enjoy the early times of being a young married couple as they start anew. Their new house requires renovations and repairs here and there, so they start to work around it. Upon organizing the kitchen, Kate sees a dead bird inside a cabinet and goes outside to bury it. She gets distracted by Matt, who talks to her from the window and looks back to see the bird disappear. While throwing away stuff that came with the house, Matt notices something weird in the wall, so he tears the wallpaper to see it better. In there, he uncovers a large door with a weird keyhole. In an attempt to unlock the door, he rummages through the pile of old stuff and finds the key. Matt inserts it into the keyhole and immediately calls Kate to tell her about it. They open the door together, and the lights in the hallway suddenly flicker. Matt calls the power company to report the problem, and Kate senses something weird about the room, so she follows him. The following day, an operator from the power company arrives to inspect the cause of the surges. To his surprise, the wires in the basement are ancient and intertwined in such a weird-looking way. When Matt asks if he can do anything about it, the operator says that he has never seen anything like it. Before the operator leaves, he tells Matt about the home's previous owners who got murdered inside the house. Upon hearing the shocking news, he immediately does his research about it. In an old news article, Matt learns that the couple who died are named Paul and Madeline Schaefer. Moreover, the identity of the suspect remains unknown and is aliased as John Doe. Matt, being an artist, tries to draw John Doe's face on his sketch pad and takes a break from it inside the mysterious room. He finishes a bottle of liquor and wishes that he could have another bottle to himself. The lamp flickers, and to his surprise, another bottle appears. Matt examines the bottle and realizes that the room can grant wishes. Kate wakes up to the sound of flickering lights in the living room and goes upstairs to check on Matt. Inside the room, she finds him far beyond excited as space is filled with new stuff. Matt happily shows Kate an authentic Van Gogh painting and explains that the room can grant any material wish. Thinking that it is one of Matt's pranks, Kate laughs it off but realizes that her husband is serious. She tests his theory and asks for $1,000. Matt rummages around the whole room and finally picks up the money Kate wished for. Still skeptical, she asks for $1 million and just like that, they are millionaires. However, Kate finds it scary and walks out. Matt persuades her that they should have fun with it. The couple spends the whole day wishing their life away. Clothes, champagne, art, and money are just one wish within their reach. Matt and Kate's happiness are beyond compare as they drown themselves in expensive things. At the end of the night, Kate questions how the room manages to grant their wishes, but Matt tells her not to worry about it. For the following days, their fun and lavishness know no bounds. Every time they make a wish, lights flicker, and so does the power source in the basement. They celebrate their overnight wealth by partying together inside the room with drinks and gifts. However, the fun and action do not last long. Kate wakes up the following morning feeling empty as the material things fail to fill a void inside her. Matt gets concerned about it and surprises her with a crib, hinting that they should try to have a baby. Contrary to his expectations, Kate gets upset about the surprise as she already had 2 miscarriages and storms out of the house. Later, Kate returns inside and spontaneously wishes for a child inside the mysterious room. As Matt learns about it, he gets mad that she did not consult him before wishing for a baby. Both get into a heated argument, Kate claiming that she did it as a shortcut to motherhood. Without the possibility of a miscarriage and the pain of childbirth, Kate explains that they could be happy that way. Matt is utterly against the idea and urges Kate to bring the baby back to the room to wish for the child's disappearance.
I was gonna ask
At that moment, the couple enters the room, but Kate tearfully refuses to give up the baby. Instead, she hands the baby over to Matt, but he could not carry out the deed as well. He could not get himself to wish for the baby to disappear and returns it to his wife before walking away. Eventually, both of them decide to keep the baby, and they become parents overnight. While on his desk, Matt spots his unfinished drawing of John Doe and does more research about the incident that happened decades ago. He learns that the suspected murderer is still alive in a psychiatric hospital. In another archived news article, John Doe says that the room made him do it. Not long after, Matt drives to the psychiatric institution to meet with John in person and ask about the room. At his arrival, a nurse warns Matt that no one has visited John in 45 years, except for news reporters, so Matt enlists himself as one. Finally, Matt comes face to face with a much older John and starts questioning him about the house, especially the mysterious room. Displaying a sinister smile on his face, John tells Matt that he has been waiting for this moment for a long time. When Matt asks why John killed the Schaefers, John tells him that was the only way. John brushes off the topic and instructs Matt to leave the house instead. He warns the young man to do it as soon as possible before it is too late. Before leaving, John says, "The only thing more dangerous than a person who can't get what they want is the person who gets whatever they want." Matt stops by a gas station on the way home, but to his surprise, his cash turns into dust. Because of this, he rushes home and throws away the remaining money in the room to see if it will turn out the same. Then, he tries to bring the Van Gogh painting by the door, confirming his theory that they cannot bring the things outside, or else it will turn into dust. In a fit of rage, Matt breaks the walls to know the mystery behind the room, but to no avail. He only sees the intertwined sets of wires that are too difficult to track. Matt then tears a wallpaper and discovers a map of the house with guides of the connected wires. Meanwhile, Kate brings the baby outside, but Matt stops her, warning that it isn't safe. He doesn't tell his wife the real reason why they shouldn't bring the child outside. Not long after, the baby screams uncontrollably, as if it is in pain. While hearing it, Matt has second thoughts about helping Kate and the baby, but he eventually comes to their rescue. Outdoors, the baby mysteriously ages to a young child in a matter of seconds. Once they re-enter the house, the couple could not believe what is in front of them while looking at the grown boy. Later that day, Matt reveals that the room can grant anything that their heart desires, but under the condition that they cannot bring it outside. If they do, the thing ages and turns into dust. Kate replies that a baby is not a thing and is unaccepting that she cannot bring their son outside. She becomes fond of the boy who she claims to be her son and names him, Shane. For the next few days, Kate homeschools Shane and explains that he cannot leave home because of the dangerous germs outside. One day, Shane becomes impatient while Kate teaches him how to read, causing him to throw a tantrum. His whole life, Shane has never experienced how it is to be outside. All he has ever known is the walls of the home he can never leave. Later, Kate receives a package outside and locks the door whenever she goes in and out. She gives the package to Matt, who ordered it, and unboxes a brand new gun. Unfortunately, Kate leaves the front door unlocked and completely forgets about it. While she is busy playing the piano, Shane sneakily makes his way to the front door and opens it unnoticed. He sticks his hand outside and feels the fresh breeze, deeply curious about the outdoors. Suddenly, Kate notices it and rushes to her son angrily. She embraces Shane, relieved that he is safe and unharmed. To prevent Shane from sneaking out, the couple decides to block every window with planks of wood.
Planks?
That night, Kate wakes up to Shane beside her bed.
The room can spawn anything in the world, and they don't ask for like grates or like metal plates or like anything.
Asking if he could
planks?
Sleep beside her. The boy tells his mother that he wants to be with her forever, making Kate hold him closer. However, her words fail to bring ease to Shane's mind as he still looks worried. Matt spends the next few days
outside. Then put it inside, morano!
Practicing how to shoot with his newly purchased weapon. He then comes back home and sees Shane playing with a snow globe inside his art studio. Strictly, he orders Shane to leave immediately, causing the boy to drop his snow globe. Until now, Matt has not accepted Shane as his son and acts coldly toward him. Not long after, Kate comes in and argues about Matt not acting fatherly toward their son. At nightfall, Shane walks around the house and sees a map that leads to the basement. He sees the big power source with intertwined wires and eventually ends up in the room. Throughout the night, lights flicker around the house, but Matt and Kate do not notice it at all. When Matt wakes up, he sees a new snow globe beside him and the broken one from a distance. He immediately wakes his wife up upon noticing the flickering lights, already having an idea of what's causing it. The couple enters the room, and to their surprise, Shane made an outdoor area inside it. The room that once had 4 corners is now a vast forest where Shane enjoys building a snowman. Kate is completely mesmerized by the world her son has created for himself and joins in with his fun. On the other hand, Matt is enraged and grabs Shane by the arm to bring him back inside. The incident causes the couple to argue whether or not to permit Shane to enter the room and play. Matt insists that it is dangerous, but Kate thinks otherwise. While they argue, the phone rings and Shane answers it, despite not being allowed to pick up the phone or talk to anyone else. Matt grabs the phone from the boy, and to his surprise, John calls and realizes that the couple wished for a boy. From the kitchen, Kate listens to their conversation with another phone and overhears their whole conversation. John explains that it entails the ultimate sacrifice of life for Shane to go freely outside the house. If Kate dies, Shane can go out and age, like everyone else. Over the phone, John shockingly reveals that he was also a child granted by the room. John's mother killed his father before forcing him, as a young man, to kill her so that he could be free. Then, he tells Matt that he has 2 options, kill Shane and save Kate, or kill Kate and save Shane. After hearing the conversation, Kate leaves home, causing Matt to worry. She attempts to crash the car, but she could not bring herself to do so. Being alone with Shane in the house, Matt acts frantically and even trashes his studio. Not long after, he prepares dinner for Shane, who sits across from him in the dining room. The curious boy keeps asking him questions, and with his growing annoyance, Matt loses his cool. Shane is told that he is not a real boy, and he does not have parents. Still, in a fit of rage, Matt drags Shane by the front door, but the boy runs back upstairs out of fear. In Shane's room, Matt realizes that he hurt him and sincerely apologizes for his actions. The boy asks if Matt could read to him, and they end up sleeping beside each other. As Kate arrives home, she is still confused by her emotions, but the sight of Matt and Shane lying beside each other brings her peace. Later that night, the couple shares an intimate moment as Shane watches. The boy waits for his parents to fall asleep and steals the key to the front door once they do. The following day, Matt and Kate discover that Shane went outside after seeing the front door open. In another area of the house, they are stunned to see Shane age overnight, though he still has the mind of a boy. He now appears to be a grown man and even holds his parents at gunpoint. Once Kate gets him to calm down, Matt throws himself at Shane and the two get into a fight. Being thrown onto the floor because of the brawl, Kate slowly loses her consciousness. Moments later, Kate wakes up to Matt, informing her that Shane died after being accidentally shot. Devastated, Kate goes out and breaks into tears, unable to cope with Shane's death. Matt comforts and carries her back into the house, where she continues to grieve. Back in the room where the fight happened, the real Matt gains consciousness and looks for his wife around the house.
I knew it.
Still, in a state of panic, he notices flickering lights and gets under the idea that Kate and Shane, who has shapeshifted into Matt, are inside. All the while, Kate is still clueless about Shane being the one in front of her instead of Matt. However, she realizes the truth of the person's identity in front of her after Shane makes one of his habits of eating ice. Matt tries to make his way inside the room with all his will by breaking the wall and passing through all the wires. He finally reaches the room, which is now a forest full of woods. It reveals that Shane used the room to enlarge the outdoor area and duplicate the house inside it. He shapeshifted into Matt to kidnap Kate to the cloned home and take advantage of her in a sensual way.
What?
Determined to claim his wife back, Matt runs through the woods and finally arrives at the cloned home. He breaks in just as Shane forces himself on Kate in his bedroom. After hearing Matt break in, Shane gets up to prepare for another fight. This allows Kate to get up and leave, but she sees 2 versions of Matt across the hallway. Her dilemma at the moment is beyond compare as the two have an uncanny resemblance. One of them grabs her by the hand, but she pushes him after calling out Shane's name, which grabs his attention. Shane loses his consciousness after falling down the stairs and transforms into his real appearance. Meanwhile, Matt and Kate cannot get out of the room because Shane keeps wishing for them to be trapped inside. After countless tries of arriving at the same place, Matt stops and thinks of a way out. The couple comes face to face with Shane by the door, who advances at Matt and stabs him to death. Afterward, Shane comforts Kate but realizes that they are just clones and replications of the real ones. Matt and Kate quickly run to the room's exit through the woods while being chased by Shane, who grows more aggressive after being tricked. At the real home, Shane attacks Matt but is pulled with him outside. Realizing that it will cost his life, Shane runs back to the door, but Kate immediately closes it before he could get inside. Shane screams, "Mommy!" while Kate looks at him as he ages into an elderly man. He walks slowly as his body decays and eventually turns into dust. Despite his faults, Kate still cries over his body, having spent a significant amount of time with him as her son.
But it wasn't
At
the
that
real
moment,
one.
the couple clings to each other after a traumatizing day. A month later, they move into a smaller place and settle in peace. But not for long. Kate looks in horror at her pregnancy test that comes out positive, unsure if the baby belongs to Matt or Shane. As if things are not bad enough, a lamp flickers, and she gets under the impression that all along, they might still be in the room. In the story, Matt and Kate have completely been blinded by the
And this is Inception.
riches that the room has to offer. With the unexplained magic,
What if Shane duplicated the world outside the real home, which is inside, which has inside the clone home, and the whole thing was third layer. If you beat the second layer, you would never think about a third layer, right? It would never come across your mind it is a third layer, because you're all chill. But then comes in the fourth layer, where Shane has the whole thing in a box. Boom. But the main character, Matt or whatever, predicted that, and he's on a fifth layer. Boom. But the wife doesn't really like him anymore, or his child, she wants to be solo. She's in the fucking sixth layer. Boom, the movie ends. That's how I would have done it.
they become more careless with their desires, even wishing for a child after a series of miscarriages. The flickering light at their new apartment at the end gives a slim possibility of them still being in the room, or a glitch in the building may also cause it. Among the most shocking revelations is Kate's pregnancy, which could be Matt's or Shane's child. The night before the big incident, Kate and Matt made love, but the grown Shane also assaulted her in the clone home. The mystery of the film does not only revolve around the wish-granting room but, finally, the father of Kate's unborn child. Subscribe to watch more videos like this. Turn on
Jesus. Holy. This guy says, gonna go watch Speed or Real Con Golem. Hey man, listen. I'm gonna go ahead and do you a favor. I'm gonna perma you so that whenever you think about coming back, you can't. I think I'm gonna save myself a good chatter. Holy. Oh my god. Mods, go get him. We're gonna, yeah, I clicked it scrolled down.
Pogu.
What is this?
Welcome back to Movie Recaps. Today I will show you an American dark comedy film from 2020, titled The Hunt. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. A woman, Athena,
Guys. Let me, you know what? I have to pee, but you know what? You guys can watch the beginning. Chai, is this toes or not?
is seen sitting on her desk, texting. She's texting with
Look,
her
take notes. This is another Aaron. You know what that is? Half-based.
A woman,
Aaron's.
Athena, is seen sitting on her desk, texting. She's texting with her friends, sharing memes, when they start talking about the manor and the hunt. A stewardess leans over to a man, asking him if he would like something to eat. She says they have caviar, but he isn't interested and goes on to list things that can only be made in a kitchen. When the stewardess tells him that, he makes some snarky remark and asks for champagne. She goes to get it, and when she comes back to pour it, suddenly a man stumbles inside, scaring her and the others. The champagne man says that one of them is awake, when an older gentleman jumps up and tries to calm the stumbling man, telling him he's a doctor. He makes him lie down on the towels and stabs him, to the surprise of everyone there. The man isn't dead, so he flings a bottle around, until Athena walks in and stabs him with her shoe. The others mention something about it not even starting yet. But, as she cleans her shoe, says that there is no sentimentality in war. The older man from before drags the stumbling man into another compartment of the plane. He's still alive and asks for help, but unfortunately the blonde woman he calls to is unconscious. Later, the same woman wakes up outside, with a gag in her mouth which she can't take off. She stands up and sees another woman with a gag across a river, making a makeshift compass. The woman acknowledges her existence for a second, but walks away in the same time a man walks by behind the first woman. She follows him to a field with a giant crate in the middle. A few other people are seen approaching the box. One of them says it's a trap, but the man still goes to open it. The others hide. He opens the crate and a pig runs out, then he looks inside and pulls out a rack filled with weapons. All of the people in the field go toward the crate, including the blonde from before. She finds the keys to the gags and helps one of the people out of it. No one knows what's happening. Suddenly someone starts shooting at them, so they all hide. The blonde thinks she dodged a bullet, but suddenly gets shot. One of the people on the field shoots toward the place where the shots came from before, but gets killed too. The others are still hiding. A woman runs out and falls in a ditch, so one of the guys goes to help her, only to find her impaled, though still alive. He helps her up and they run when suddenly he steps on a landmine. They explode. Another guy manages to run away from the shooting. He gets to a fence. Someone approaches and he almost shoots him, but it's the man who opened the crate. Two others run toward them. They all jump the fence, except the crate man. He gets shot with a spear and decides to face his attackers, only to be killed moments later. The other three escape and get to a gas station. The owners are a couple, thinking the people are robbing the place. Blue Shirt tells them they don't want their money, he just wants to know where he is. They tell him that he's in the state of Arkansas. He asks for the phone to call the police and they say they'll trace.
What happened? What did I miss?
Approaching the box. The woman acknowledges her existence for a second, but walks away in the same time a man walks by behind the first woman. She follows him to a field with a giant crate in the middle. A few other people are seen approaching the box. One of them says it's a trap, but the man still goes to open it. The others hide. He opens the crate and a pig runs out, then he looks inside and pulls out a rack filled with weapons. All of the people in the field go toward the crate, including the blonde from before. She finds the keys to the gags and helps one of the people out of it. No one knows what's happening. Suddenly someone starts shooting at them, so they all hide. The blonde thinks she dodged a bullet, but suddenly gets shot.
Okay.
One of the people on the field shoots toward the place where the shots came from before, but gets killed too. The others are still hiding. A woman runs out and falls in a ditch, so one of the guys goes to help her, only to find her impaled, though still alive. He helps her up and they run when suddenly he steps on a landmine. They explode.
What?
Another guy manages to run away from the shooting. He gets to a fence. Someone approaches and he almost shoots him, but it's the man who opened the crate. Two others run toward them. They all jump the fence, except the crate man. He gets shot with a spear and decides to face his attackers, only to be killed moments later. The other three escape and get to a gas station. The owners are a couple,
That's an arrow.
thinking the people are robbing the place. Blue Shirt tells them they don't want their money, he just wants to know where he is. They tell him that he's in the state of Arkansas. He asks for the phone to call the police and they say they'll trace the call and be there soon. The woman eats a cookie and immediately chokes on it, like it's been poisoned. Suddenly, the couple are wearing gas masks and throw a smoke grenade at them. Before Blue Shirt can shoot them, the man kills him first. They choke the other one with the grenade and then kill him too. The woman vents the gas station. Later, they clean it up, disposing of the bodies. The woman sees that Blue Shirt has a wedding ring and starts feeling bad. Her husband tells her that it doesn't matter because he surely is a bad man. Probably even uses the N-word. The couple argue about the subtleties of racism, when they get a call on the radio. They tell the woman on the other end who they managed to kill and she tells them that another one of the hunted is approaching.
Where did that come from?
They prep the gas station, as she walks toward it and walks in to find them ready and greeting her warmly. Crystal asks for a box of cigarettes and gets her emergency money, then asks what state she's in. The woman answers her as she gets her change, but Crystal notices something is wrong and attacks them. She grabs the shotgun from under the counter, kills the men first and then the wife. Crystal checks the gas station and finds the bodies, then grabs some rubber bands and some ammo. She drops her jacket and leaves the station. There's a truck in front, so she goes to check it out. First she sees that the plates are fake, showing Croatian ones underneath. Then she finds a tripwire, connecting the door to a bomb. She hears the others talk on the radio she snatched and hides in the bushes. They're looking for her, because they can't find the couple from the station. They send a drone to check the station out and someone shoots it down. The man that shot the drone appears, smashing the drone further, and as he goes toward the truck, Crystal stops him telling him that it's rigged. She tells him that by shooting the drone he basically told them that they're at the gas station, and then starts walking towards some train tracks she saw earlier.
Golly
The man follows her. He tells her he has a
Cheese
theory
and
about why
crackers.
they're there, being hunted down. Apparently, he had read an article about a group of liberal elites
I've
that
seen
kidnap
it.
people and take them to a manor to hunt them down. Crystal doesn't really believe his theory. She hears a train approaching and tells the man to run so they could catch up to it. They hop the train, and once inside they find a group of immigrants, hiding. The man says that they're not real, that they're crisis actors. They also don't speak English. Crystal isn't convinced in his theories again. Suddenly, the train stops and the military police searches the compartments. Crystal and the man, along with the immigrants, surrender. The police is frisking them, when the man decides to tell one of the officers that the two of them are American and that the refugees are actually crisis actors. The officers don't speak English and step aside, when one of the immigrants speaks to the man in fluent English with an American accent. He says they don't believe him and the man freaks out. The immigrant tells him that he's the only actor and that he needs to calm down. The man tackles him and puts a grenade in his pants, as everyone else hides. The guy blows up. Next, Crystal is in a truck being taken to a refugee camp.
What the fuck?
Once there, she is taken to an officer who asks her for her papers. She asks where she is, and when they don't answer, she begins guessing and finally guesses right, Croatia. She asks them to call the American embassy. But instead, they bring in Don, another one of the people that were hunted along with her. The two of them go to the camp kitchen to eat, while Don keeps sharing the same theories with her as the other guy. Suddenly an official from the American embassy shows up to pick them up. Later, they're seen riding with him through the woods. Don has told him everything about their predicament, and the official is shocked, saying he'll contact the State Department and the military to find the people that hunted them. Crystal realizes that there's something strange about the guy, knocks him out and pushes him out of the car. Then she backs up over him, killing him. She finds a gun in his jacket. While she looks through the trunk, Don is freaking out that she killed the official, until he looks inside and sees the other guy that was with her before, dead. She finds a map and Don says that he thinks they are the only two left. Don wants to leave in the car, but she says no. She wants to use the map to find the people hunting him and retaliate.
What?
She tells him a gruesome story her mother used to tell her, when the pig suddenly appears again. At the bunker, the group of people hunting them is chatting about what's politically correct and what isn't. One of them is a soldier, their consultant. He asks them to be quiet, but they just make fun of him. Athena's voice is heard over the radio, telling them to shut up. One of them goes out to pee, and when he gets to a tree, Don distracts him with a pig and Crystal kills him. Back at the bunker, the group hears a noise outside. The soldier gives them instructions on what to do, which they barely follow. All of them are scared, so when Don drops the pig inside, they shoot it dead. The woman is upset that they killed the pig, when suddenly Crystal kills one of the men and shoots at the others. She incapacitates the soldier, then stabs the woman. She fights one of the other men for a rifle, but he takes out the ammo. She finds another bullet in the chamber and shoots him. Then she goes to the sniper and kills the last one as well. She thinks she's got them all, but suddenly the soldier tackles her and they fight. Crystal pulls a pipe out of the ceiling and beats him up with it, but doesn't kill him. The woman is still alive and she calls her a hick. Crystal picks up a gun and goes to shoot her, when Don shows up. He finds a gun and Crystal tells him to ask the woman why they were doing that to them. She gives a stupid answer and Crystal wants to kill her, but Don stops her, saying she's a woman and should be spared.
What?
Crystal asks the woman if she should be afforded mercy just because she's a woman, and as she answers no, Crystal shoots her. Don freaks out and suddenly Athena's voice appears on the radio, asking if he got Crystal.
Wait, what?
To which she points her gun at him.
Wait, it's a comedy, right? Because that doesn't make any sense. That's okay.
Says he's not one of them,
fucking dumb
as
as
Athena
shit.
keeps asking what's going on over the radio. She tells Don to kill Crystal, as he pleads with her not to trust the woman on the radio, but she shoots him regardless. Crystal tells Athena that Don is dead and Athena tells her to come and get her. Crystal sits down next to the soldier and has a civil conversation with him, until she asks where Athena is. She tells him that she won't give up and presses his wound, so he tells her where she is hiding. He gives her the information, but cautions her that she was preparing for the hunt for months.
I mean, dude.
Crystal kills him too. A flashback to 1 year earlier takes us to Athena's office, where two people from the company are waiting for her. They talk about the text message she had about the hunt. She says it was only a joke, but they tell her that there are people who believe that it's true. Athena laughs. But the man is persistent, calling it a possible PR nightmare, telling her that she has to step down from her position. She asks for a list of the people that have made the conspiracy theory about her hunting human beings. Another flashback to 8 months prior to the hunt, The group is choosing the people that will be a part of the hunt. They have difficulty choosing, but Athena tells them to continue. Suddenly, the slide shows a picture of Crystal, as the man presenting the slides reads her opinions about Athena.
Sorry.
She gets angry and chooses her as her arch-nemesis. In the present, Crystal is walking towards a manor. Athena talks to her on the intercom, saying that if she doesn't leave her gun there, she will activate the C4 under the gate. So Crystal leaves the gun there and walks inside. Beethoven is heard in the background, as Crystal cautiously walks inside the house and sees the pictures of herself and the others on Athena's wall. Athena is waiting for her in the kitchen, cooking. She asks if she killed Don, but doesn't tell her if he was one of them. Crystal doesn't know who she is, but it seems Athena doesn't know who Crystal is either. They talk about why she organized the hunt, and Crystal makes fun of her for doing it for the wrong reasons, coming full circle and making the conspiracy theory a reality. And also because she has the wrong Crystal. The woman that posted the awful conspiracy theories online about Athena was another Crystal with the same surname as hers. After all is revealed, Crystal grabs a knife and goes after Athena. They fight savagely, equaling in strength and stamina. Crystal throws everything she can find at Athena, including an expensive bottle of champagne, which Athena manages to save from shattering. She kicks her over the fireplace, but Athena gets a shotgun and goes after her upstairs. They fight for the gun, but Crystal pushes her down the stairs and jumps down. Athena goes for a knife next and stabs Crystal. They fight outside for a moment and get to the kitchen again, where Athena stabs Crystal with a vegetable cutter, but as she kicks her, Crystal pulls her in and stabs her with the other side of the cutter. Athena dies, but Crystal survives.
What?
She gets up, eats the toast and closes her wound with a blowtorch. She cleans herself up and puts on one of Athena's dresses as well as her shoes. Before she leaves, she takes the expensive champagne. She walks outside and sees Athena's private jet. When she walks inside the jet, she tells the stewardess and the captain that she killed their bosses and threatens them with a gun, telling them to take her home. She sits down and the stewardess prepares a snack and the champagne for her. Crystal invites her to eat and drink with her. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this.
What the fuck?
Thanks for watching.
Oh my god, I thought it was titties. Oh my god, dude. Dude! I saw the woman's face, but the man's titties, and I thought it was a woman with titties. Fuck, man. Dude, I thought it was a woman with the titties.